Hi, I'm Beth with 50 Plus Beauty, and I'm excited that you're here with me today to talk about hands. And actually, I had an amazing hand procedure done. It was not recently though, and I wasn't even going to tell you about it because it was so many years ago. I had it in 2009, and this is 2017 now, so it was 7 years ago, but the results were truly amazing. A few of my lovely viewers made some nice comments down in the comments section, and they asked how I got such nice hands. Every time I saw that, I kind of chuckled to myself because my hands were god awful. I mean, I am not kidding you. I guess 9 years ago, I'm 59 now, about 60. 9 years ago, I had just turned 50. And let me show you a picture of my hands and you'll be amazed. These are my hands, the left hand and then the right hand. And as you can see, I have gnarly, horrible veins. In fact, I don't know any 80-year-olds really who have hands as bad as I did at 50. Even my husband, who does not like me to get procedures, at that point, he's like, if you can find somebody to fix that, that would be a really good thing. And it was so bad looking that even wearing sleeves like this was difficult. And I always tried to find those Juliet sleeves. I knew what they were called because I looked for them so much. And now those sleeves are in, those big bell sleeves that kind of cover up your hands, but they weren't in then. So it was difficult for me to find. And my hands looked that way pretty much all through my 40s. And I asked the doctor who treated them, are those varicose veins? And he's like, oh no, they're not varicose veins. Some people just have large veins. And they can have them on their tummies, they can have them on their legs, they can have them on their hands, on their feet, and I happen to have mine on my hands. So as I normally do when I decide that I'm going to get something done to myself, I decided to look around here in town. I live in a middle-sized town here in Kansas, about 450,000 people, and whenever I would call the offices to talk to them about getting hand veins treated, they weren't very optimistic that they could do it. They had all these different ways which sounded very invasive, including like stripping the veins with surgery. And I thought, that is not what I want. So I started looking around on the internet and I found this website. I'll show you a picture of Dr. Forte's website now because I did end up going and having the procedure with Dr. Forte. And he is in upstate New York. I saw his before and after results and I called him and spoke with him and I just felt really confident. And another thing that made me very comfortable with Dr. Forte, he is actually a board certified vein specialist. So he went to medical school and had specific training in dealing with veins. So I figured it was worth a flight to fly out there to get my veins treated with him because my veins obviously were challenging. And I had a lot of frequent flyer miles. And as a matter of fact, I ended up having 2 visits with Dr. Forte. I went out once and then he did a fantastic job, but I had a few more veins that I wanted to have zapped. So I went out a second time to get those final veins zapped. And so I will tell you the whole process here that I went through, and I'll put Dr. Forte's information below in the comments. I know that he takes patients from all around, and if you'd like to go see him, it was really not all that expensive to do this for the amount of improvement that I got. I can't remember what it was, but I will get that price and put it down in the comments as well. I did that research and then I got the frequent flyer tickets and I flew out to New York, and I did not take Alan with me because we were trying to save money. And so I rented a car from the airport, and so I drove out to Dr. Forte's clinic, and it's an older 2-story home in this little New York town, very charming town, kind of like a northeastern town that you would imagine. So I get to his clinic and I go in, then they take you back to this little procedure room, and then they inject your veins. Now normally for people who live in that area, he injects one hand at a time. He'll do like your non-dominant, say your left hand, and then 2 weeks later, he'll do your right hand. But because I was flying in from across country, he made an exception and did both of my hands at the same time. So then he cleans the area with alcohol and he numbs the area, and then he injects the veins with a foam. Hand vein sclerotherapy, that's what it's called. It's a 3% solution of a chemical called sodium tetradecyl sulfate, and they've used it for many, many years, and they've found over the years that it's very safe. But they inject this foam into your hands. They did one hand and then the other. It didn't really hurt. It stung a little bit, but they do numb the area with a local, so you really don't feel it all that much. He injects the hands, which makes you a little nervous because he's going into those hand veins. He wraps each hand very carefully. In fact, they look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. They are so wrapped up. Oh, and by the way, I'll show you my hands now. They are a little bit red from doing retin-A, but you can tell they really are nice looking hands for someone who's about 60. And for those of you who would like to see how much retin-A improves them still further, because the skin is getting thinner, and right now I'm doing an experiment to see if retin-A will thicken this skin. If you'd like to see the results of that, then just subscribe and click that little bell. That way you can be notified of that and my other videos. Back to the process. He gets both hands injected and he wraps up the hands in these big bandages, and they just look huge and they're white. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? Because you always get a little bit scared in the middle of it. So then I say goodbye to Dr. Forte, and he and his staff are just wonderful, lovely people. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was reminded to do this video. After 10 years, I'm still on their email list, and I get all the little specials and that kind of thing. And an email came in from Dr. Forte's office from Capital Vein. So I thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't that make a great video? And so I emailed Dr. Forte back and asked him exactly when I'd had the surgery and asked him some questions about it so I could tell you. He's a very lovely man. I'd almost forgotten the personal aspects of working with him and the people in his office. They're just really, really sweet. And I'm kind of freaking out because my hands are really swollen and they're really bandaged up, but then I sleep and I think I put my hands on pillows. I slept okay that night. I woke up the next day and you still have the bandages on because you leave them on for 24 hours. I had these bandages on and then I had to go home on the plane the next day with the bandages on because they have to remain on your hands for 24 hours. So the people in the airport probably thought it was a little strange, but I go ahead and get home to Wichita, and then that evening I pull the bandages off. And then over the next few days, the veins on my hands kind of turned black and they got kind of hard and ropey looking. But then over the next few weeks, everything kind of calmed down and subsided. And within a few weeks, I was left with very pretty hands. And then over the next 2 or 3 months, those collapsed veins just are reabsorbed by the body. And because those veins are so distorted, they really aren't the veins that are necessary to carry the blood. So removing them is really not bad for your health at all. It's just fine. Now I will show you the before and after results, and they are just incredible. That is one hand, the before and the after. And as you can see, I did the befores and afters on the same ottoman, and you can imagine the thrill that I had going from those horrible hands to the better hands. And here's a look at my other hand, which was also very disfigured in terms of the veins. And there's the before, a lot of veins, and there's the after, and it just looked phenomenal. And as you can see, although 9 years have elapsed, I really have not developed any more veins. I have one little vein here that kind of sticks out just a little bit. Nobody would notice it but me. And if I lived in New York, I would go and let him inject that one, but I don't live there, so I'm not going to do that. And on that hand, I really have no veins that have come back. So that is a very easy way to deal with your veins. And Dr. Forte did say that now a lot of doctors really favor the surgical approach where they go in and strip the veins, but he doesn't see any need for that at all. And he says it does produce scarring and can produce some other complications that he does not think are good. And I will say one thing that was very interesting about this process is that I have some foot veins that I still have to this day that I would love to have injected. They can do the same thing with your feet that they do with your hands. And I thought, hey, I'll just have Dr. Forte do that. And as I mentioned, I went back a second time because I had so many veins, and I think he reshot the last few veins and made it like perfect. And I considered having Dr. Forte shoot the veins, the bulging veins in my feet, but he did say that this solution that is very effective on hands can leave a kind of a darker discoloration on foot veins. And so he really suggested that I have that done here in town because then that discoloration could be treated. So I left after my second trip to see Dr. Forte thinking I would have it done in Wichita. So I was at a women's fair maybe 3 or 4 months after the last procedure on my hands, and I went to several of the aesthetics booths to talk to them about my foot veins. I showed them the results that I'd had on my hands and also told them the chemical that was used, and none of them really understood this process. They were like, well, no, we can't do anything that easy. That just doesn't sound right. We need to do this and this and this. And it was very involved. And they were all amazed at my incredible results. And they really doubted that they could get anything near this on my feet. And Dr. Forte, he deals with this all the time. And he routinely gets these kind of results. In fact, amazingly enough, after I got that done 9 years ago, I had those fabulous before and afters that you just saw. And I emailed them to Dr. Forte to thank him. And I said, hey, you're welcome to use these pictures on your website because I'm so pleased with what you did for me. And he never even used them. To him, this is just second nature. He does this all the time and he does a beautiful job. So anyway, that is just information. If any of you are interested, certainly none of you probably have veins as bad as I did, but Dr. Forte is a true expert. And I'm sure there are other doctors in the country who can do the same thing. However, I really had great results with Dr. Forte. Now, I always like to leave you with a little thought for the day, and I've got a new card deck. In fact, I bought about 7 new card decks, ladies. And this one is called Life Loves You cards. Life Loves You, and they're by Louise Hay. And if you know anything about Louise Hay, she is amazing and has written many fantastic books. And her work is all about helping us to love ourselves and treat ourselves well and love the people around us. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is a good one. I follow my joy. I follow my joy. Your thoughts influence the kind of day you'll have. Name 3 ways you could make today even more enjoyable than you thought it was going to be. Name 3 ways you could make today more enjoyable than you thought it could be. I'll do this for you right now. In about half an hour, one of my sons, Colin, and his wife, Emily, are coming into town. It'll be noon. We're going to eat some chicken salad. Then we're going to go out and do Christmas shopping. And then tonight, we're going to have 17 people over again for chili. I did chili a week ago, but it's really easy when you have a lot of people. In 3 ways I could make today be more enjoyable. Okay, first way, I could be where my feet are. Sometimes when I get this kind of to-do list effect going in my life of we're going to do lunch and then we're going to do shopping and then I got to get ready for dinner, I forget to be where I am. So the first way to make this day more enjoyable is to be where my feet are and really just be where I am and think about the people I'm talking to and really live in the moment today. The second way is to really appreciate what a rare opportunity this is, because I see my son and his wife, they live in Kansas City, and we see them about every month and a half or 2 months, and this is a wonderful thing that they're coming into our home again. I love having my son home, and I just want to forget about how things look, forget about the house mess, because obviously kids bring home mess with them. They may even bring their dogs, which is wonderful, but it is more mess. They have 2 Shelties. So the second thing I'm going to do is really appreciate this opportunity that I have my son and his wife with me. And the third way I can make today more enjoyable is not to do what I normally do before I have a get-together of any sort. Because I'm having that dinner tonight with 17 people coming, and that's a lot of people for my house. It's going to be kind of crazy, but I am prepared. I've got everything done. I just want to forget about the details and just really enjoy my party. Because many times when I have people over, I'm thinking about the things that I need to do for others or that I just need to do in general to make the dinner happen, and I'm not really being there. I'm not really enjoying it. So tonight, I'm going to really appreciate the fact that I have both sets of parents here. They're both up in their 80s. We are so blessed to have them. And if you have parents who are getting older, please treasure every minute, because you never know what life is going to bring. But I hope it brings good things to you and your family, and I hope you follow your joy. Take care. See you next time.